Jeremiah Colman started producing mustard at a factory in Stoke Holy Cross in 1814. The business got bigger and bigger and was growing very rapidly, and he needed to move to bigger premises. He bought the Carrow work site from the Norfolk Railway Company, and he developed the site. The benefits of the site were we had the river, the roads and the rail network. Yeah, there's many employees who work on this site today who've had their fathers, grandfathers and lots of members of their family work on site. At the time, Colman's used to encourage family members to join them because they just knew that they could trust the people who really had pride in working for Colman's and delivered the results they wanted. My name's Bob Walpole. I'm the Crops and Culinary Manager for Colman's of Norwich. I've worked for Unilever for 36 years, and my father worked for Reckitt and Colman as it was then, prior to Unilever taking over in 1995. My job entails working with mustard growers and mint growers to supply the factory with mint and mustard seed. I go out and visit growers. I then manage the unit that converts the materials into finished goods, the culinary unit. So for mint, horseradish and the culinary products. In the 50s and 60s we used to harvest everything ourselves using our own employees. We had a big combine harvester on site. We had a Unimog that used to go around and pull the trailers, and that was very much an in-house function. We were here to manufacture mint and manufacture mustard, not to grow and farm. So we then transferred that to the growers, and they're the ones who deliver the excellent quality and the very high standards. We've got strong relationships. They take pride in what they do, so we trust them to deliver the high quality standards that are expected from our consumers. We have very strong relationship with Norfolk mint growers. Norfolk mint growers are 4 growers who have actually formed the company, Norfolk Mint Growers. They all farm about 10 hectares each of mint. Geographically they're spread around Norfolk, so not all the fields need harvesting at the same time. So we can sort of cut one field and then move on to the next one. That also reduces your risk in case you have really severe weather and you lose any crop. Those growers work extremely well together. David Bond tends to manage the harvest on behalf of the 3 growers.
We've been growing mint here on this farm for 40 years now. My father first started growing mint when he was approached by Colman's in the early 70s when they were first establishing mint growing in Norfolk. When we first started growing mint for Colman's, they used a forage harvesting machine for harvesting the mint, which harvested the stems, the leaves, the whole crop went into the factory. And then the factory, they had a separation process to separate out the leaves from the stems. But that was always a bit more difficult because the forage harvester chopped up all the leaves and mint. They did tend to deteriorate more quickly, the colour went and stuff. It was a bit more black mint rather than all nice green mint. So the change in the harvesting system has been the biggest change we've seen and led to the biggest improvement, I would think, in the mint sauce. In the early 90s, Colman's were looking at ways they could improve the quality of the mint sauce. Stalk was a little bit of an issue in the mint sauce, and they wanted to develop a machine that would just strip the leaves from the stem, so they were just harvesting the leaves. This they did through a collaborative research project with the Institute of Agricultural Engineering at Silsoe, and they jointly developed the harvester with quite a lot of input from Colman's to develop this new type of harvesting mint. That harvester worked very well for several years, and then last year we invested as a group of 4 growers in the new harvester, which you can see behind me, which is what we've been using last year to now harvest all our mint. So there are now 4 growers of mint in Norfolk, and we've formed ourselves into a group. We originally formed our group to purchase the harvester, so we jointly own the harvester because it's obviously a specialised piece of machinery and quite expensive. So between the 4 of us, we bought the harvester, and now we coordinate that delivery into the factory, and I coordinate on behalf of the other 3 growers the deliveries into factory, liaise with the factory to check that we're getting the mint in at the right quality stage in the field. We look around the fields as the mint gets ready for harvest. we move the harvester in to harvest that field, and then when that's done, move on to the next field, which is the next field ready for harvest. So we're just harvesting the leaves. They're going into the trailer, the big white trailer you can see behind the harvester, blown into that by air, which is a very effective method of filling the trailer, but also reasonably quite gentle. The trailer then is disconnected from behind the harvester, and the tractor on the front will take that trailer into the factory and leave it there for them to empty for their processing. We have two of the trailers, so he'll pick up the empty trailer, bring that back here to the field, and be ready to start filling that second trailer up. It's very important that the mint isn't left in the trailer too long. We need to be keeping the flavour, we need to be keeping the colour in the mint, and that's very important for the driver to coordinate quite closely with the factory to make sure he's getting his load delivered at exactly the right time.
Mint comes into the factory, goes to our mint harvest area, and is then forked onto a conveyor belt which takes it into the mint harvest building. The mint then goes through cyclones, and we separate the leaf from the stalk. The leaf we actually put through our mills. We mill the mint very finely, transfer that into cooking tanks, and we actually cook the mint within 2 hours of it being harvested. That mint is then stored ready for putting into jars for the customer. So that's very quick process, and we try and capture it while it's still got that very nice fresh mint flavour.
We've been farming in this area for about 250 years. We moved to this farm in the start of the 1900s. My great-grandfather bought it. I'm now the fourth generation that's been supplying Colmans of Norwich. From setting up English mustard growers as a cooperative, it then helped us to drive profitability, mainly through yield increases. The small limited number of growers meet up regularly to swap ideas about what performs best. We're not competing against each other. Our aim is to all grow and be as profitable as we can and give the customer a better product. The white mustard that we grow is used generally to produce the hotter yellow mustard that we all know and see in the shops. The white mustard seed is ground up, it's dry milled, and then that produces a type of flour, and that flour is then added to some other ingredients to produce the hot yellow paste, the hot yellow mustard that we know. So we use a 7-year rotation on the farm, which means that we only put one crop or that family of crop in the soil in that field once every 7 years to help naturally reduce the pest and disease build-up. And the longer the crop rotation is, generally the healthier plant you will get. Using bigger tractors and machines, then it means we're using a lot more fuel than we used to, because obviously the horses were just eating food, whereas now we're burning fuel. So to try and offset those increases in our carbon footprint, then we are investing in precision farming techniques where we're using computer-controlled GPS guidance to only do the jobs we need to do, not overlapping on cultivations or drilling or harvesting. As a family farm, then we care for the environment that we live in and around, and also with our customer mix, then we're being encouraged to improve on our sustainability and reduce our carbon footprint. Any waste that is left in the mustard sample that we get once it's been through the combine that we've then cleaned out, we then spread that back on the field, because that's where the combine would have left it in the first place. We also want to encourage beneficial insects to help with the crops. So to give mustard a bit of a boost at pollination time, then we bring in beehives. So we have 40 beehives, and each hive roughly has 50,000 bees in it, which in return for making a bit of honey, we get the pollination of the crop. So hopefully then we get more pods and seeds produced on that plant. Once the crop starts to flower, then the bees and the other wild insects come in and pollinate the flower. Then the flowers then turn into what are these called raceae, which layman's terms are pods, and within the pods they then develop into seeds, and the seed is obviously the bit we're interested in. So we've got to look after the flowers to produce the pods to give us the seeds, and the insects help us do that. So when the crop is ready to harvest at the end of August and beginning of September, we try and harvest the crop at the right moisture, or near to the correct moisture as we can. Also, once the seed is out of the combine into the trailer, we take it to the shed that then dries it, and also we clean it. So we take out some of the pods that have been around the shell if the combine hasn't got rid of those, and also some of the other little seeds and other split seeds. From there, we'll then send a sample of our dried and dressed crop into Colman's of Norwich to get it approved for intake.
I'm Walter Gilmore. I'm a team leader for the seed area. I've been working with Colman's for approximately 16 years. I'm responsible for the control of mustard seed coming into Colman's, the quality of it, and also on a daily basis I'm responsible for drying that seed, cleaning it and sending it up to the mustard mill for milling purposes. The big thing you can say is that the process that we use for the control of the intake of the seed, how we clean it, how we send it up, that hasn't changed at all. In fact, you could go back nearly to the beginning of what Jeremiah used to do. And what we're looking for is we're always looking to improve the quality of the seed coming in, because obviously the better the seed coming in, then the better the mill's going to mill it to get the flour out of it. Because at the end of the day, if we're providing a product to the customers that looks dirty or spacky when that smooth paste is made to the customer, they're not going to buy it. At the end of the day, the knock-on effect of that is this site will not be here for too long if people don't trust us in what we do. So you tend to do the best that you can with it to make sure that the quality is always there. The big change that's gone on was the farmers used to send us seed to come straight off a combine. They wouldn't do anything else. They'd combine a field and that would be sent straight into Colman's. What we've done through talking to the farmers to get them to take on board, they already have the cleaning machines there, so they can do more, is they now take responsibility for, they treat the mustard the same as they treat the wheat, in that they take it in, they give it a good clean, they store it for a bit, and then they send it in to us. The benefit I've seen over the 17 years with the farmers taking on more responsibility is that there's less work, if you like, for me, in that when it comes on site, all I'm doing is testing, and within 15 minutes we're ready to proceed with it, taking it in.
My name's John Saverin. I'm one of the mustard millers here at Colman's of Norwich, and I've worked here since 1984 and for Unilever since 1995. My job is to make sure that our mustard seed is milled into the final flour, mustard flour, that we use in our tins and in our wet mustard jars. Mustard seed is delivered to us in this building, the mustard mill, and then we take the seed, put it through a pre-preparation series of sieves, and then proceed to mill it on a series of roller mills, or if it is already of the required standard and size, it will then be sieved down again and will be ready to be collected with other seed to be put into large bins to then be blended or to be used for other purposes. There's a great feeling of tradition working for Colman's. There's a real continuity about the site and about some of the products that we've made. There are many long-serving employees here, and there's a real sense of family and belonging.
The bit I really enjoy about my role is the relationships. I've got some really strong relationships on site. I've got some really strong relationships off site with the growers. I suppose my favourite part of the job is the relationship with the growers, because there's nothing better than going out in the summer, walking around fields, looking at crops, talking to people who don't just talk about mustard, but they talk about lots of other crops, lots of different things to what you'd normally talk about at the factory, and that just sort of widens your sort of knowledge.
With our family growing mustard for Colman's for over 100 years, and with the bicentenary of Colman's mustard coming up in 2014, then there has been quite a nice synergy between the two businesses. Family businesses, trying to be progressive, trying to go forward, trying to be here for a sustainable future. We're looking at new ways of keeping on top of the market and making sure that we're profitable and survive for the future.
And as a Norfolk farmer, it's great to be working with Colman's, you know, another Norfolk, iconic Norfolk brand, and supporting the Norfolk economy.